Bases dropped on a new round of SDH AM. Let me turn on the board. Let me see if they'll update you with what's going on around the planet. John, here you there fixing the hair. And it's a busy show this morning. It is going to be a lot of women's soccer here in hour number one. We're keeping an eye on the first semi in the FIFA Women's Champions Cup. It is right now with about 15 to go at the G-Tech at Brentford. They're calling it Brentford Stadium, by the way. It is goalless between Gotham and Corinthians. Gotham has kind of turned the heat up the last 5 or 6 minutes with the press. They have twice as many chances than Corinthians on target. So I think it was 13 shots, 6 on target compared to, I want to say, 6 and 1. And that stat came up a couple of minutes ago. So right now with about 15 to go, Gotham and Corinthians are goalless. Keep an eye on that at the G-Tech, and we'll let you know what happens there. The other semifinal, it is Asfar of Morocco and Arsenal. That one's coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon, our time. And it looks like Corinthians is going to the digital board with some subs. And Juan Carlos Amaros did so early in the second half. And right now, like I said, we're going over a little strategy with Corinthians, but they're goalless right now with about 14 to go, 13 and a half to go, plus any other added time. Corinthians and Gotham are goalless. Also on the board, we're going to take a peek at what happened last night. Harder Stadium in Santa Barbara, go over what happened with the U.S. women's national team. Another big win over Chile. Have some highlights, have some posts, and we'll get into the stats and all the numbers there that's attached to that. 10 o'clock, Managing Director, Huntsville City Football Club, Chad Emerson is going to join us. We're going to take a peek at 25, the lessons from 25, playoff year for Huntsville City, then get into 26, all of the development that's going on, the infrastructure, the growth that's happening in Huntsville. We'll get into that with Chad at 10 o'clock. Then after that, we got to set up your day. We've got all your transfer news. We've got Champions League, everybody playing at 3 o'clock. Jason had a great breakdown in Morning Espresso. We'll go over your juice boxes there. Every match is going to matter for probably, I think, 27 or 28 of the 36 teams. Literally, you've got a shot. I think if you're anywhere at 6 points and up to get in, if things happen, obviously you're going to need a lot of help. But we'll get into Champions League in hour number 2. Go over your juice boxes there. Go over your transfer news. We do have Texter news. I apologize ahead of time that we do have John Texter updates. And the word that was used was coup in some of the printed reports out of France as Lyon is setting up for their all hands on deck meeting, the governor's meeting. And let's just say that it's coming from a bunch of different directions now at John Texter. And I don't know, unless he gets some immediate help from somebody. And like I said, I've got in mind Evangelinas Marinakis. He's my number one in all of this. That would be my number one guy. But yeah, you got fire coming at you from Botafogo. You got fire coming at you from Lyon, and it's coming at you from a bunch of different directions. So let me adjust the lighting because I feel like I'm flaring out here for a second. It's almost like it's too bright. And I know that a lot of you would sit there and go, well, yeah, no light, Nelson. That'd be the best way to do it. All right, so how about there? I think that's a lot less light. That's a lot less shiny on what I have on my forehead. So that's the rundown this morning. We got a lot of stuff to get into. We'll have a little bit of fun here in opening kickoff coming up in just a sec. But it's women's soccer in hour number 1. We'll get into what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Chad Emerson's going to join us coming up at 10 o'clock, and we'll go into what's going on in Huntsville City. Then we'll get into Champions League and your transfers, and there's some movement there as well, possibly for your favorite club, and we'll get you moving on your day. Tomorrow it's the Power Hour, and it's a Nino and Nico from 10 to 10:30. We'll go around the planet in 60 minutes. We're also going to be joined by one of the 4 teams that is chasing after a championship in the UPSL. New York Renegades are going to come and visit us. They're flying from one end of the planet to the other because the championship is this weekend in Irvine, California. So they're catching an early flight, and so we're catching up with them today. We're going to air it tomorrow. So I think that's how this is going to work. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. But, yeah, New York Renegades are on the clock. And also Next Level out of Phoenix is on the clock. We've made contact with them. I think that's going to be Friday, and it's going to be taped and turned for the weekend. So we'll get you ready for all of that coming up here in a bit. Okay. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at, as I read, Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. I wanted to get the read right. We start your day with the most important stories in the game, and the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee is part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Okay, I know that we are looking at what's going on with women's soccer. Opening kickoff is no different. And I saw this come across the bow. This came across all of the different places where we kind of pull stories and everything. And I don't know how many of you are Star Wars people. I remember for the first 2 movies getting excused out of school, so I could be first in line with our group to go and watch. I think it was 1 and 2. No, it was 2 and 3. Sorry, it was 2 and 3. First one, I think we watched at home. 2 and 3, got out of school, and we were excused to leave early so we could go watch a matinee over at the local theater. Emma Hayes apparently is a massive Star Wars person, and it might be through her family or what have you. But this came across, and I was like, yeah, I've got to mention this. So here is Emma Hayes, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer and ESPNW, discussing what her starting 11 would be involving Star Wars characters. I have some issues with it. So here's her answers for her starting 11 if she had a starting 11 for Star Wars SC, I guess. Here's her starting 11. See if you agree with it.
I've opted for a 4-3-3. Want a back 4. In goal, General Grievous has to. Boba Fett left back. Needs somebody solid but dependable. And then the centre back pairing of Chewbacca, absolutely will win everything in the air, and Palpatine. Nothing will get past Palpatine. Be on the front foot. And at right back, we've gone with Han Solo, just to be dynamic through hyperspace. In the midfield, in the 6th position, we've gone for Obi-Wan Kenobi, just to ensure that we can manage everything around the pitch. In front, we've got Luke Skywalker, captain, by the way, number 10, and we've got Kylo Ren is going to play in the middle of the park. Up front, number 9, scores all the goals, be ruthless, will be Darth Vader. On the left, we've got Rey, all the energy. And then on the right-hand side, almost interchanging with Luke Skywalker, will be the brains, playing in an overloading role. That will be Yoda. That is my starting Star Wars 11.
Okay, so that's her starting 11. Update from the G-Tech, a goal on the board for Corinthians, and a shot from Zanetti through traffic. Gets through the midst of Ankatrin Berger, and right now, about 6.5 to go. It's 1-0 to Corinthians. Obviously, now Gotham chasing an equalizer in Britain. So, looking at that starting 11, I had a couple of issues. I'm not a Star Wars person, but going with the firepower that she did, I get that. And the firepower that she had, I understand it. There were a couple of things that I had that were kind of questions for me. And I was wondering, one, how if she admits that Yoda is the brains of the operation, how he isn't team captain. That was my first one. You put Yoda as team captain over Luke Skywalker. I mean, I agree with the back. You've got, Chewbacca and I mean, could you imagine trying to come down your attacking right-hand side and you're looking at Boba Fett and Chewbacca? That's a tall order. I get the back line and I get the net. You get your tall folks there. I mean, the back 4, I'm good. Keeper, I'm good. But then that was when I was starting to disagree with her. if that is a lot of trust that you are putting, and I'm also making the carpet assumption that you are looking at the young version, not like the last movie that came out version, but the younger version, like the Mark Hamill younger version of Luke Skywalker. That's what I had envisioned. And Yoda being Yoda, I don't think Yoda really ever ages per se, but if you're putting a lot of trust in Luke Skywalker as your team captain, yet you admit that Yoda is the brains behind the deal. So why would not Yoda be? Why team captain Yoda would not? Just asking. I was good with it for most of it, but this was the one where I had my most disagreements. Was the Yoda Luke Skywalker captain, not captain, and I get the Yoda wandering around the role reversal pretty much of if you had Luke on the left and Yoda on the right or wherever, that they would just kind of have free run. That I got. But my largest issue in all of this was the team captain in the 10. Team captain in the 10. So Ricky's making Vader his 6. Understandable. But my biggest thing was on offense. With team captain and Yoda and Luke Skywalker. That was my main problem with all of this. I was fine with the back. And I understand making Vader your 6 because people just try to come in through the middle and they would just probably disappear. So I was cool with it until that point. But like I said, I admit that I'm not much of a Star Wars person. I understand, give me the headliners and I'm there. I get that. That's cool. So maybe 9 of 11 I'm agreeing. 9 of 11 I'm agreeing with that with Emma Hayes here. Double sub now coming in for Juan Carlos Amoros in the 88th minute. Down 1-0, chasing after an equalizer. So we're waiting to see if Gotham can get the equalizer at the G-Tech with time running out. Howell and Carter coming off and running on. Let's see who the subs are. Let's see. Howell and Carter off. Cook and Shupansky coming in, 88th minute. So set piece opportunity for Gotham. And obviously Rose Lavelle directing a little traffic, and she is going to take it. We have discussions, and Rose Lavelle wearing the captain's armband, 88th minute. She's going to survey, and she's going to take it. High line for Corinthians, edge of the 18, swept in and headed away, but not all the way out. And so Gotham will reset, have a couple of minutes to try to chase after that equalizer. So, yeah, Luke Skywalker and Yoda, that was my problem. Captain's armband was my problem. So that I was there with her, and I understood most of the selection. So I just wanted to put that out there as kind of a lead-in to what we saw for those of you that were up late last night at Harder Stadium in Santa Barbara for the USWNT as they were playing Chile, second match in this window. And there's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. We start your day with the most important stories in the game because, what could be more important than the starting 11 for Star Wars characters from Emma Hayes? Start your day off with the important stories. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try the home blend, made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy bodied with notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Corinthians now going for a double switch on their own, and you're having some shall we say, delays and or shenanigans from Corinthians trying to get the win across the 90 minutes and get it past the finish line. Okay, so last night, Harder Stadium in Santa Barbara, California. Now the keeper's down for Corinthians. So, yes, anything is possible with Corinthians as they are trying to get this one over the line. So we'll keep you posted. Anyway, last night it was another second match in the window for the women's national team, and it was a 5-0 win over Chile in Santa Barbara, California. Night of firsts across the board, least capped starting lineup in 25 years. Sold out crowd at Harder closes out January camp. USWNT actually played matches at Harder back in 91, preparing for the first ever Women's World Cup, which they would win in the People's Republic of China. But those games were against UC Santa Barbara and West Coast All-Stars. Those were just exhibitions. So last night, you had 3 players, Croy Bethune, Jamise Joseph, and Emily Sams getting their first international goals all in the first half. 3 players, Sams and debutantes Ayo Oke and Riley Jackson, getting their first international assists. First-time captain in Sams after Trinity Rodman and Claire Hutton took up the armband for the first time on Saturday. The newly minted Angel City defender. 9th cap off of 100% passes in the previous match, full 90 minutes, 2-goal contributions, women of the match honors. Emma Hayes, as you heard here, was going to rotate after the 6-0 win over Paraguay in Carson. Now you had an entirely new lineup after Saturday's starting 11, averaged 9.6 caps. Starters last night, 5.2 caps on average. You had the starting 11. Let me see if I can grab it here really quickly. Starting 11, Claudia Dickey, Ayo Oke, subbed at the half for Jordan Bugg. Emily Sams was your captain. Hal Hirschfeld, Kate Wiesner, subbed in the 63rd by Maddie Dahlin. Riley Jackson, Sam Meza, Croy Bethune, subbed for Olivia Moultrie in the 63rd. Yasmin Ryan, subbed for Trinity Rodman in the 63rd. Jamise Joseph, subbed for Allie Sentner in the 63rd. Emma Sears. Not used, Jordan Silkowitz, Kennedy Wesley, Tara Rudd, Lola Labonta, Claire Hutton, Giselle Thompson, Rylan Turner, Mandy McGlynn, Izzy Rodriguez, and Sally Minty did not dress. So it was 3 in the first half, 2 in the second half, in front of a crowd of 14,797. So here is how it all started, up close and personal. Match in the match in Santa Barbara. Goal number 1 on the board, and they didn't waste any time. First 20 minutes, courtesy of our friends at TNT, HBO Max, all those places, WBD Sports and U.S. Soccer.
Joseph at the byline. The last one all the way back in Louisville against Argentina back in October of 2024. Here's Croy Bethune, gets away from the challenge, and Croy Bethune finds the finish. It's her first U.S. goal. Calmly playing the...
So Croy Bethune from Ayo Oke, 18th minute, made it 1-0. Obviously not done, considering we said that they scored 3 in the first half. 8 minutes later, Jamise Joseph gets on the board, 26th minute, to make it 2-0. Courtesies are the same, WBD Sports and U.S. Soccer.
Chile, that back 4 a bit narrow, so that outer channel wide open.
Here's Jamise Joseph, lovely turn from Joseph. And she opens her international account with a fine finish. It's 2-0.
Jamise Joseph from Yasmin Ryan, 26th minute, made it 2-0. Emily Sams from Emma Sears in the 33rd made it 3-0, and that was the score at the break. Reverse that second half early, 46th minute, and you end up with Sears from Sams to make it 4. Trinity Rodman scores from Riley Jackson in the 68th, and Rodman on the board made it 5. And you also ended up with Emma Hayes and Trinity Rodman celebrating, dancing, as it was teased and taunted in match number 1 in this window. It actually did happen in match number 2. You did have Emma Hayes and you did have Trinity Rodman dancing and celebrating after the goal. Concussion sub looks like for Gotham. Rose Lavelle goes down. 8 minutes were added out of the blocks, and I'm guessing you're going to play another 2 at least, and Rose Lavelle is not looking steady on her feet. Physio for Gotham is taking her over to the bench, and she is being ushered over and being supported by her left arm. She's walking under her own power, but she is being steadied by the physio, so keep an eye on that. So you're going to have some minutes added. They're in the 5th minute of the added 8. Don't be surprised if it ends up going to 10. And so you're probably looking at a good 5.5 minutes for Gotham to chase after the equalizer, going up against Corinthians at the G-Tech in the Women's Champions Cup here in 2026. So 5-0 your final, and it was a dominant performance for the U.S. It was Ayo Oke Riley Jackson becoming the 289th and 290th players to play for the women's national team. 4th and 5th debutantes in 26. 31st and 32nd debuts of Emma Hayes' WNT tenure. Midge Purse, as I'm kind of given play-by-play, Midge Purse goes down inside the 18, and no foul is called, so it ends up being a goal kick for Corinthians. First two caps, let's see, 5 of the 11 started the match 24 years old. 3 were 26. The others were 20, 22, and 23. Two first caps given out today by Hayes. 32 players, first caps in her first 32 matches. 5 debuts across the first 2 matches of 26. Final one of 26 in which Hayes is going to cast this wide net that we've been talking about. We'll hear from Emma Hayes coming up in a second. All the rosters probably populated from international players going forward. You just have Croy Bethune getting her first goal of the night, first goal of her international career. Same for Jamise Joseph. Same for Emily Sams. Last time 3 U.S. players scored their first international goals in the same match, October 1st of 2006. Leslie Osborne, Carly Lloyd, and Megan Rapinoe against Chinese Taipei. The only other match in U.S. history where 3 players scored their first career goals was at the Algarve Cup in 2001 against Norway. Ali Marquand, Laura Schott, and Kat Whitehill. Goals 3 and 4 in the night. Sams and Sears, and Sears and Sams. Once again, 14-7-97, 5-0 your final, and it was a dominant night for the United States. So 71% possession for the United States, 21 shots, 12 on goal. Claudia Dickey never tested, 7th cap and start. Did not allow a single shot from Chile on the way to recording their 5th straight clean sheet. Post-match, let's catch up with Emma Sears. Let's start Emma Sears in the mix zone. We'll work our way to Emma Hayes. So here's Emma Sears in the mix zone after the match discussing what went down at Harder Stadium in Santa Barbara, once again, courtesy of our friends U.S. Soccer and Veritone.
I mean, like top 3 for sure. Yeah, it's a very special night. I'm so honored and just so happy to have accomplished that.
Can you describe what it meant to put on that captain's armband?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a huge honor. I feel like I've looked up to so many other girls, whether they've been captains or not, and just admired those leaders that we have in the team. And so now to kind of be looked at as that tonight was very special. And then, of course, to rep the crest and then to be the captain as well was just super cool.
And did you expect to get on the score sheet?
I mean, of course, not really. As a center back, you don't really expect it. But, yeah, shout out to Emma Sears for crossing me that ball.
And you guys worked together, I think, on both goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What were those connections like on the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, I love Emma, and I know that she's fast, she loves to get into the box and cross, and so I just saw a little space and knew she was going to cross it, and I was there.
And how's it been being in California, your new home?
Yeah, I've only been here for like 2 or 3 weeks, but it's been great so far, and I'm excited to explore and just excited for the year ahead.
Can you tell us about the atmosphere? I mean, you said it was different to be on the college campus and just the crowd, sellout crowd.
Yeah, it was so great. They were super loud, could hear them the whole game. And yeah, as we said yesterday, it was very intimate and close, and so really enjoyed the atmosphere tonight.
Emma Sears after the match in Santa Barbara. Wow. Okay. I've got questions. So they hit 8 minutes on the board. Okay, just checking. All right, because the graphic disappeared from Brentford Stadium, and I was wondering what was going on. 8 minutes had gone, and the graphic disappeared, and you start to see Corinthians players celebrate. And I was wondering about time added on because of what happened with Rose Lavelle. Center ref did acknowledge that they were going to get 2 more minutes added. Graphic disappeared completely, and you hear fans celebrating and everything's going crazy. So I'm looking at about another minute and a half as drop ball puts an end to the confusion. And like I said, I know I'm kind of drifting in and out between Gotham at the G-Tech, and you end up with a deflection that should be a corner, I thought, shot from Midge Purse. And so is it going to be a goal kick or is it going to be a corner? They're going to say, what are we saying here? Goal kick, and Corinthians is obviously going to take their time. And the center ref is making sure that the Corinthians keeper knows, hey, you got a boogie. Corinthians keeper is like, yep, thumbs up, I get it. Not so much. So Corinthians is taking their own sweet time. You had a couple of collisions in the box, apparently north of 90 minutes. It's whatever, game on, and we're just here to finish things up. Still 1-0 once again. and Gotham chasing an equalizer, and they've got to get possession here off of the goal kick, a couple of challenges, and Corinthians is just looking to clear it and send it well long, and they do up in the air. That also eats up a couple of seconds too. So Corinthians trying to go into the near side corner and eat up as much clock as possible. One back by Gotham, and it's an opportunity. And are we going to get we're going to get a yellow. Okay, north of 10 minutes. You got a yellow card on the takedown. You had Gotham going long, header flicked, and then a takedown from about 21 or 2 outside the 18. Yeah, that is an absolute yellow card. So you end up 10 and a half minutes, and it's going to be probably last chance saloon here for Gotham at the G-Tech. Corinthians obviously wanted the clock to stop, and the Corinthians coach gets a red. Corinthians assistant, looks like the Corinthians assistant's getting a red, or the bench, pointing at one of the assistants for Corinthians, and the Corinthians assistant gets a red card from center ref, and the rest of the staff is going, what was that about? I'm guessing there was a magic word in there somewhere. So center ref not taking any guff, and so it's going to be another set piece from 20, probably 21 maybe. And, of course, you're missing a ball, and no one's helping out that aspect of it. So Tamiris gets the yellow for the takedown, which creates the set piece. Assistant coach for Corinthians gets a red. Set piece for Gotham here, and we are approaching 12 minutes. We're approaching going into the 13th minute of added time here. So it's a set piece for Gotham. And there's a lot of traffic being calmed down here by the center ref. 5 in the wall for Corinthians. 2 in the offset for Gotham. Everybody forward, including Ann-Katrin Berger, who is setting a marker off of the wall and behind it. Everybody forward for Gotham here. Last chance to dance. Like I said, we'll get to Emma Hayes' post here in a second. She discusses what's going on with all of the younger players that are now in camp. And so this is probably last chance saloon for Gotham here. Is it going to be the left foot or the right foot? All right, whistle down. Still some surveying going on. Right foot tried to go near post, wide of the near post, no good. And it is going to be, they tried to whip it around the wall and go near post with it. And final whistle finally does go. Corinthians gets the 1-0 win, advances to the final in the Women's Champions Cup against either Arsenal or Asfar of Morocco. So hard done by for Gotham. Gabi Zanotti scores in the 83rd, and then you end up with 25 more minutes of soccer being played before Corinthians wins it 1-0, and they advance to the final of the Women's Champions Cup in 2026. Obviously, out of this, we got to keep an eye on Rose Lavelle because she was unsteady on her feet as she was taken off. And so taken off the field north of 90 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on Rose Lavelle and what the reports are for her going forward. But Gotham in the Final Four, the Women's Champions Cup in 26, and they make it and 1-0 loss to Corinthians. Corinthians makes it to the final, and they will wait to find out who they're going to play later this afternoon. Okay, back to USWNT. Emma Hayes after the match. We discussed how young this group was and how absolutely young this group was. And so the question was, you got these first 2 matches under your belt here in 2026. Was this kind of what you were looking for and expecting from the younger players in this camp, all being from the NWSL side of things? Here's Emma Hayes' response after the match. Once again, U.S. Soccer and Baritone.
I think this has certainly opened up the year with what we've identified as the key themes to take us through to qualification. I think this camp has given us the reference points to be able to say, those are the things we need to add to go to the next level. These are the things we are looking for. And for the players that come back in for She Believes, it will be really clear what that looks like. So we have the chance to play that out. But it also is an opportunity, whether there's players that are on the cusp in that pool for 27, they've shown not only are they competing, but by sometimes not having all that experience in front of them, they're getting the opportunity they might not have ordinarily got. So while we want to provide high support, there is a high challenge environment. Like, the realities are, to cut it at the very top, we can give you all the support to do it, but you've got to perform. That's the realities of it. And I think in both games, the team, regardless of its inexperience as a collective, regardless of the connections that are there because they haven't played together before, I think we showed a lot of maturity in the performance, and that's all I can ask from them. They always do me proud, but I'm impressed by everybody's approach. But I think it also is an example of why the under-23 program works, because if you're Jordan Bugg, you're Riley Jackson, Maddie Darlene, Jamise Joseph, for example, can just slot in. You understand the way we want to play because Heather and her team are doing some of that groundwork, so it's seamless to transition. That was the aim of our under-23 program, and I think it's paying dividends.
Emma Hayes after the match talking about the U23s and how the younger players are literally now you're called up. Hey, guess what? You're going to do this. And so with the system now in place, it's more seamless that you end up with on the night. And when you have these camps like this, where you have the group of only averaging 5.6 caps across the board, and the seamless nature with which it is now brought in play when it comes to what you're looking at with Emma Hayes and the USWNT. And so you heard there, next up is getting ready for She Believes. And that's the next steps. Now, that's the next steps here for the women's national team. Let me go through. And this is the thing, is like when you're looking at a friendly that is a 5-0 win, going with a ranking system, it's kind of random, to say the very least. And we always kind of use the reference point with our friends at Soccer America. Claudia Dickey, who didn't have to face a single shot, got a 5. 7th cap for Dickey. So you had Sams and Hirschfeld getting the start once again. Okay, Sams, Hirschfeld, and Kate Wiesner. And just to give you an idea, what I'm going to do, instead of giving you grades, I'm going to give you the number of the cap that this match was. So, debut. Emily Sams, 9th. Hal Hirschfeld, 5th. Kate Wiesner, her 3rd. Starting lineup, Riley Jackson, Croy Bethune, Sam Meza. Riley Jackson, 1st. Croy Bethune, 7th. Sam Meza, 3rd. Up top, Yasmin Ryan, her 16th. Jamise Joseph, her 2nd. Emma Sears, her 14th. That's what you were getting at 5.6 on average. And then you had, coming off the bench, Jordan Bugg getting her 5th. Maddie Darlene, her 2nd. Trinity Rodman, 49th. Allie Sentner, her 15th. Claire Hutton, her 13th. Same for Olivia Moultrie. She Believes, U.S. gets Argentina March 1st up at Geodis. Canada March the 4th in Columbus. And Colombia in Harrison, New Jersey on March the 7th. And then you go from there. So that's the first 3 matches in She Believes, and that's what you're aiming for next. March 1 in Nashville, March 4 in Columbus, March 7 against Colombia in Harrison, New Jersey. So Canada, Columbus, Colombia, Harrison, New Jersey. So that's what you're staring at with this bunch. 21 shots for the U.S., 12 on target. No shots for Chile, none on target, obviously. 7 saves for the Chilean keeper, 9 corners, all of the U.S., 13 fouls, 7 to the U.S., 7 offside to the United States in this match. And that kind of goes to the offensive output and how things were kind of slanted in that direction. 71-29 in the possession on the night. So once again, that's your rundown of anything and everything going on with the U.S. and this 2-match camp out in Southern California. And so you're looking now at all of the activities and all of these players that you got the chance to look at from the NWSL. As we got to catch up with Bart back on Monday, it's that opportunity now to sit there and go, I gotta break glass. I got to break glass. So that means who can I call that knows the system, knows what's going on, and is going to be comfortable placed in whichever slot I put that individual in because of the instance that is being created where I'm having to call somebody up in an emergency situation. So that's what we're staring at right now. So these camps, you're looking at those, probably 18 through 30. If you want to put it in a parlance like that, you're looking at probably 18 through 30. And to have those kinds of decisions open for you, that's never a bad thing. When you can sit there and go to your bench and then you really go to your bench, you can sit there and it's like, yeah, I need so-and-so, I need so-and-so. It's like you tap them, they're on their way, and you're good to go. So you end up with the benefits that are attached with all of this. So that's where we are with the women's national team. It was 2 matches, 11 goals, and none allowed, and you end up with a successful 4 days of match prep and match play going up against the 2 sides you did in Carson, California, and in Santa Barbara, California. So successful run, 11-0. You got the chance to kick the tires on some folks and see where they are. So that was your rundown of the women's national team over these last 2 matches. So that's where we are, getting ready for She Believes. And the fact that She Believes is a month away, that's crazy, where you have all of this stuff just kind of crushed together. And I think that we're going to be dealing with a lot of that in 26. You're just going to have a lot of this. A lot of it is just going to become crashing together here when it comes to event. I think that we might even be shocked at times. It's like, oh, really? Wow. Okay. That one's here. It was on the schedule. And because you're focusing on all these other things, I mean, shoot, think about it. The early sections of She Believes are in the early part of the Major League Soccer season. And so you're going to be balancing looking at the women's national team in the She Believes Cup with what's going on in Major League Soccer. Just as an example. And then obviously the world's going to stop when the world comes to this hemisphere, but just all of these other things that are going on all at the same time. And I think that we might get caught up in, it's like you're focused on one thing and then everything else pops up and you're like, oh crap. I think it's going to be one of those years. I really do. It's going to be NWSL and She Believes and Major League Soccer and then all of the other tournaments that are going on. You've got the CCC with CONCACAF, and we're going to have John Arnold, I think, early next week to discuss what's going on with the CCC. So you've got the CCC going on. You've got Major League Soccer going on. You've got the CanPL and their new redesign that's going to be happening. And they had that happen yesterday with their other divisions, their second division elements in the CPL. So you've got that going on. So all of these things that are just going to be kind of happening all at once. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be all over the place. All over the place. Good stuff. It's going to be fantastic to have all this stuff to talk about. Chad Emerson, Huntsville City Football Club, coming up in about 15 minutes. To get you into everything else because of Champions League and all the other things going on, I'm going to put what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it right here. Because after Chad, we get into Champions League, get into transfers, get into other news, get into our texture update. Yeah, there's that. So we'll do what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it right here as we get ready for Chad Emerson coming up in about 15 minutes. Go to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them, helps us, helps you. and it gets to add more matches to everything you're already watching. With Fanatis, you get BN, you get all the BNs, which meant yesterday that you could be watching Argentina, you could be watching Paraguay, you could be watching Colombia, you could be getting ready for Libertadores and Sudamericana. You get TC out of Argentina, all the South American leagues, all in one place. fntz.co/soccer down here. With the BNs, you get Ligue 1, you get the Polish league, which is in chaos right now, top to bottom. All the teams you have like a good run of form in like a month. You go from the bottom to the top. Seriously. That's what you're staring at. And obviously, Ricky this morning, and we'll say hi to everybody here in a second after what to watch. But Ricky, yes, 16,000, I think, were laid off this morning. And getting those letters suck. Obviously, Ricky, we send our love collectively to you and to those that are affected either immediately or emotionally, and that's crap. So just know that we all love you, and obviously that we love everything else. That everything goes on everything on a daily basis. So just know that we all love you, and we're thinking about you on a day like this, which is crap. Facundo Torres in Austin. Okay, we'll get into Austin coming out of that. So bookmark that, Del. Hang on to that for a second. Okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and there's plenty. 3 o'clock, you better just find Golasso. That's all I'm saying. 3 o'clock, you better just find the Golasso show and just sit there and watch, because you got 16 matches coming up all at once. And we'll go over juice boxes on the flip side of 10:20. CBS Sports Network's got Dortmund and Inter Milan. Fox Deportes has the league we don't talk about at 12:30. 2:00 Benfica, Real Madrid. Unimas, same at 3 o'clock. Fox O&E and foxsports.com, that league that we don't talk about. Paramount Plus has everybody. All 16 matches kicking off at 3 o'clock. Women, activity on DAZN USA. That was where you could have seen the Women's Champions Cup. Arsenal and Asfar coming up at 1 o'clock. Corinthians once again beating Gotham 1-0. A-League on the women's side was at 6 a.m. with Perth and Sydney. You get Europa League tomorrow. That'll be part of our discussion tomorrow with the UPSL Final Four going on in Irvine and the Power Hour in hour number 2. But today, it is Golasso show, 18 matches, all at the same time, all at 3 o'clock. Just go there unless you really are good with your remote control and can go bang, 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 bang 18 times and just go in a sequence. So that is that literally is what you're doing today. What to watch, where to watch it, just go to Golasso. Just find your Golasso show, Paramount Plus, or however you access it, 3 o'clock, maybe a little before, just so you're ready. It's going to be a true test for our friend Nico Cantor, Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher, and Big Meeks. The four of them on a desk talking about 18 things at once. With all the math that's going to be involved, when you get to about 5 or 5:30 Eastern time, maybe you'll have it all sorted. So if you're in Picks of the Week in the Discord, the question is, how many points will get you into the secondary phase after today? A couple of us said 8. Figured there'd be enough chaos to where some folks won't move and they'll get in on goal difference. We figured 8 would be the lowest point total that'll get folks in. But that's just me and what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So Del mentions Facundo Torres. And since we're here, let me say hi to everybody else that is on the grid this morning. And it is Del, who is rolling through all the matchups in Champions League. Save your Champions League stuff to like 10:20, 10:25. Morning, Del. Morning, Rich. Rich, we will answer your question coming up here in a second. Morning, Pars. Pars about the Star Wars 11. Dobby needed to pair up with Pippin and the Falcon to recruit the Enterprise. Maybe after all that, Yoda could be captain. Yeah, I don't think having Yoda as captain. I think Yoda should have been captain. I don't think Luke Skywalker should have been captain. That's just me. Ricky, Star Wars original, according to Lokeville, is the best 4, 5, 6. Agreed. Then let's see. Morning Lokeville, morning Ricky. Michael, you're not alone in this. Michael says, I wish I would never hear the name John Texter ever again. He is the bad penny of sports management. Keeps coming up. Morning, Ropes. Morning, David. Morning, Alex. Hopefully the knee is the surgically repaired bionic legs are not balking this morning like they probably have been the last couple of days. Okay, so Rich wanting to know about Latte Lot. Does he have a better second season in Atlanta? Obviously, Atlanta United fans hope he does. But I will be intrigued as to how Tata Martino envisions him and how he is getting the messaging across of, okay, I need you to be this, I need you to do this, I need you to go here, I need you to react here, do this, and do this. First step in that's going to be on Friday with Atlanta United and Lexington SC. That's going to be at atlutd.com/live. Mike and Jason will have the call. It might be in the 30s, might be in the low 40s. It might be 24 below. Who knows? We're 2 days out. We'll have a better answer in a bit. But does Latte Lot have a better second season in Atlanta? I mean, last season he didn't have a whole lot of stats, so I think by default that he puts another couple in the back of the net, then technically he would. But I know that what Rich is asking is what they brought him in for in the first place. And I think that is what you are chasing. I am interested to see how the tutelage under Tata Martino affects Latte Lot and what they want him to do in the anticipated, let's just say as a base, the 4-2-3-1. So I think that a lot of folks are looking at the relationship with Miggy and with Alexei Miranchuk. And as we were talking earlier in the week, I think you're looking at left back. I think you're looking at left wing. And that, to me, I think is what you're looking at when it comes to spots for debate in camp and all of that. Because I think if you're looking at the back line, I think you're looking right now, Pedro Amador with competition from Dominic Chonqui. Then you have your 4 center backs that are in concert and competition, probably say Mihai, Stian, Barakal, Matt Edwards. Great feature on Matt Edwards, by the way, on the website, soccerdownhere.net. Then you have Thomas Jakob would be your right back. Then your 2 holding would be Alzate and some combination of Tristan and a healthy Jay Fortune. Then you're looking at your 3 attacking, which would be technically Miggy and Miranchuk and Saba/Luke, and then Latte Lot up top with pressure from Jamal. And then obviously the competition with Jaden and Lucas Hoyos in net. So I think that's what you're staring at from your base. So how is Latte Lot challenged in camp, both by the coaching staff mentally and by the competition that's going to be there with him, with Jamal and Cayman Togashi and Luke Brennan, et cetera. So I think those are the questions that a lot of folks have. I know Latte Lot has that question for himself. He wants to do better this season than last. Atlanta United fans want him to do better this season than last. Atlanta United wants him to do better this season than last. But like I said, I'm intrigued to see how the tutelage and the teaching is by Tata Martino for Latte Lot. That is one of the big things for me. Left wing, Latte Lot, left back, and the new faces and how they all integrate. If you just like I said, if you just took your 4-2-3-1 as your base idea and then plugged and played there, I think that midfielders, obviously, you're looking at folks like Will Riley and Cooper Sanchez to help out when it comes to the midfield as well. How does Santi Pita act in camp? And what I mean by that is how does he integrate? How comfortable is he with the Tata Martino administration, and how do they set things up there? That is the big thing for me. Those are the questions that I have. Pedro Amador at left back, I mentioned him because he came in 24, came in like gangbusters. 25, he had an off year. He's going to want to rebound in 26. But once again, we've seen Dominic Chonqui. What are the next steps with Dominic Chonqui in his growth? So left back, left wing, or left mid, and striker. That's kind of what I'm staring at as we get into this first match on Friday with Atlanta United and Lex SC. atlutd.com/live and 1 o'clock. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay. Yeah, Rich does. I mean, obviously, I don't want him to be good again, but yeah, that's the big question coming in. Okay. Dell mentioned Austin. Since we're there, we'll go ahead since it's in the queue. And I want to look at what they have done in the off season. So looking at okay, so I didn't have that tab up. I think I blew up that tab. Okay. So looking at what Austin has done in the off season. So it's been a lot of folks, so Facundo Torres, $9.5 million coming back into the league. Busy 25, 61 matches, all comps, 10 goals, 6 assists, 47 goals in 3 seasons, 75 goal contributions. So 47 and 28 in 3 seasons for Facundo Torres. Report for $14 million, Palmeiras to Austin. Transfer from Orlando to Palmeiras, $14 million. Palmeiras to Austin, $9.5 million. So that's what you're staring at with Austin. So you look at what Austin has done. Chad Emerson coming up in a couple of minutes. So far they had the goalless draw with San Antonio on the 23rd. Today they play Lou City. February 1st, it's NYC. Then they go out to Coachella, and it's not to listen to music. The Coachella Valley Invitational, St. Louis City. It is Chicago. It is Sporting, and that's all at Coachella from the 7th to the 14th. They are one of the lowest teams that has available GAM. I think they might be dead last at 30th, a little over $2.5 million. And so they are in the 3-3, 3 DPs, 3 U22s. Uzuni, Brandon Vasquez, Facundo Torres. So that's what you're looking at there. Your U22s, Mateja Djordjevic, Nicholas Dubrsarski, and Owen Wolf. Owen Wolf signs his new deal in the offseason to help out, to keep players, to encourage players to come in. And Owen Wolf is a U22 slot with an improved contract. Who else is in? Irvin Torres is a homegrown. John Bell coming over from Seattle is a free. That helps out at the back. Jaden Nelson, I think, is a really sneaky pick. That's a good pickup from Vancouver. Also in a trade. Joseph Rosales to help out at the back in a trade from Minnesota United. Damian Loss, he's now your number 2 keeper with Brad Stuver. And then Facundo Torres transferred from Palmeiras. Out. Cascante, Farcar Loon, Diego Rubio, Stefan Cleveland traded to Sporting. That was a part of that deal. Osman Bukhari, who was transferred to Wisław Łódź in the Ekstraklasa, the Polish league, and Jader Obrian happened yesterday as the excuse us, and we're going to hand in our paperwork to the league and just go our separate ways. So Jader Obrian was announced yesterday. Facundo Torres in, Jader Obrian out. So that's what you're looking at with Austin right now. And the GAM for me, as of 8 days ago when it was announced by the league, that one for me is the question that I've got going forward, is the GAM number and what they can do in there. So that's the big element in all of this. All right, I'm going to go a little early. We're going to start hour number 2, maybe about a minute early, just because. And it's always good to go and catch up with what's going on in Huntsville at Huntsville City Football Club and find out what the latest is they're getting ready. The schedules are out for 26. The rivalries are here, and it's time to catch up with our friend Chad Emerson, the managing director at Huntsville City Football Club, and find out the latest there in Rocket City. Chad, what is up? Good morning, sir.
John, it's soccer time in Huntsville.
You ain't kidding. That nice John Wardism there. That was very good. The longtime play-by-play. There are some folks that are not in our target demo, and I have to explain that reference. John Ward, the longtime play-by-play voice for the University of Tennessee football team, would always go at kickoff. It's football time in Tennessee. And Mike Keith, the new voice of the Vols, has kind of taken his own step to that as well in homage to John Ward. And we appreciate John Ward references on this show. When you look back at 25 on the whole, and you can break this up however you want, on the field, off the field, however, and then we'll go from there. When you look at 2025, what do you think the lessons are that you and the administration and the staff all learned about 2025 season that you're bringing forward into 2026?
Yeah, winning generates excitement. Yeah, I mean, it was fun to be going down to decision day, and were we going to host a home playoff game, or we're going to go on the road, and who we're going to play. You know, the previous 2 seasons, our season just ended, and we did some exit interviews and some things for the fans, but this was knowing that we're playing soccer in October. That was pretty awesome.
On you mentioned the postseason element in all of this. What has the growth been like in the stands? Because there are some dates at Joe Davis where you're lucky to get a seat, and you see the growth that has been there, and we've kind of followed the journey ever since day one with you. What has the growth been like over time in these last couple of years that you saw there in 25 when you were going into the postseason? What has growth been like in the stands?
Yeah, we were really looking at 25 as a nice baseline. That first year was a little bit quirky because we didn't play any home games until May. And then the second year, we had so much transition in the coaching staff that really last year was a nice, good, stable year on the soccer side. We had overall pretty good weather. There's certain novelty early on with something that may wear off. So you kind of find your base in season ticket holders, group sales. And so right now we're seeing a really good trend for 2026. And, working with the league and minor league sports, you want to have great soccer, but you also have to have fantastic, all ages friendly entertainment. And so we're starting to really lean into that and take some of the best ideas. We're adding more fireworks this year, for example. We're adding a bobblehead series, right? We're going to bring bobbleheads. And so that's the kind of thing that you can get the casual entertainment consumer to come join you, even if they don't know what a yellow card means.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the education is a part of that, but from that marketing perspective, you want to bring folks in that first time, the casual, and you want to find ways to keep them. When it comes to that retention, how successful have you been in that of bringing in the casual? Because the hardcores are going to be there, and they're going to be there every single time. But bringing in that casual fan and keeping them, how successful have you been in that? And you mentioned this season, but what have you learned in that process?
Yeah, so you try to look at trends, and a good trend for something like that are group ticket sales. Companies can choose to take their company picket during the summer and go anywhere. There's a baseball team in town, there's other places. And when you see those companies bringing their employees back year after year, right, because they had such a great experience, it's the fastest 2 hours and 15 minutes in sports, right? The HR person knows they're going to be able to leave what time they can leave at the end of the evening, right? And so for us, we're seeing that trend of people coming back. And what that means to us is that they really enjoy the entertainment experience. There's a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. And then there's another book called Fans First by Jesse Cole, who with the Savannah Bananas. Both of those are really our Bibles for guest experience, as we can exceed their expectations for their discretionary income, have great food, convenient, every touch point we have with them. I want to have Buc-ee's level bathrooms. I want it to be the nicest bathrooms in professional sports. And that really, all those compile together for a great guest experience.
Okay, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. The remarkable power of giving people more than they expect. And so he was at 26 when he took the helm of 11 Madison Park, a brasserie, and he goes, radical reinvention, a true partnership between the kitchen and the dining room, an over-the-top bespoke hospitality. So if you're looking at memorable over-the-top bespoke hospitality there at Joe Davis, obviously you're mentioning the things that you're bringing in 26. What the over-the-top bespoke hospitality? I mean, you get into that aspect of it. What have you learned from this book that qualifies as that memorable stuff that you're talking about, having the Buc-ee's bathrooms and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you've been to the stadium, you've been inside. Clean and safe is the first priority. People want to go to a clean and safe environment, and that doesn't matter whether it's a business, whether it's a stadium, whatever it is. So we start with clean and safe. We really pride ourselves, like, again, clean bathrooms, clean parking lots, everything looks good, signs are updated. After that, though, it's really like, imagine if you were inviting someone to your home for dinner. You'd probably dress up the house a little bit more. You'd probably plan nice things to eat. What is going to be the
pizza boxes? Yes.
Yeah. We found is something as simple as greeting our guests when they come in, say hello, having the mascot at the main gate, taking pictures when they come in, and more importantly, when they leave, say goodbye. Thanks for joining us. Those are completely inexpensive things to do because you already have your staff here. And if you say, thanks for joining us, that's what you do to a guest in your home when they leave, right?
Mm-hmm. Every business can choose to be a hospitality business. I'm still reading from the bio of this book. Every business can choose to be a hospitality business, and we can all transform ordinary transactions into extraordinary experiences. What was the first ordinary transaction that got turned into an extraordinary experience there with Huntsville City, you think?
Yeah, I think our food and beverage operations is a good example. Is this year we're debuting a new bowl. You can put your loaded nachos in.
Oh,
The easiest thing to do is just to put it in a bowl that you order online. Our bowl is going to be shaped like a soccer ball,
okay.
with the soccer ball kind of look on it and our logo on it. That's that little extra touch, right? That when they receive it, they're like, oh, this is kind of fun. I don't see that all the time. When I'm not just getting nachos in a generic thing. So you think, well, does that really matter? That individually may not matter as much, but when you do 15 or 20 of those things, the compiled effect, they're like, wow, they paid attention to that. Little things, the halftime games we do, the other type of ways, when we have the march around the stadium with the supporters, those all things combined, and people are like, wow, this is a memorable experience.
And bring in a big honking rocket engine too.
Well, that is actually probably what I'd say is our most special thing. I mean, there is no other sports facility in the United States of America with an actual J2X rocket. And it's not just looked at. We use it to start the matches. And when the countdown goes, literally we get in the pre-match meetings with the referee and say, okay, wait, there'll be a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rocket launch in the big Jumbotron. We shoot out cryo, and it looks like the game is launching, literally. And so that's the little effect. That does it cost something? Yeah, it costs something, but it's unique. And people are like, I could only get that experience at Wicks Family Field and HCFC.
So when we talked about bringing those first timers in, for those that don't know, how would you explain what the sport means to the soccer community there in North Alabama, South Central Tennessee, and to that footprint that you are bringing folks into? How would you describe what soccer means to that particular part of the U.S.?
Yeah, so, everywhere thinks they're unique, but we really do think we're unique here in the sense that there are so many people from around the country that move here to work for NASA, work for the Department of Defense. Now Space Command is coming here. So you have a lot of people from the FBI move here from the DC area. Well, what's super popular in DC? Soccer. And so they're bringing their traditions and their love of soccer, whether it be youth or in their fandom. They're like, where can I experience something up there that I might have experienced in Loudoun or in DC United or other places like that? So we feel like all these people moving to Huntsville, we're really fortunate. They're generally moving from St. Louis, Chicago, DC, places like that, where soccer is one of the priority sports.
When you mentioned everything that's going on and being clean and the first impression and everything, we've been there in the past, and there's been development ideas and thoughts about making it almost like the play and stay and watch environment with other construction going on. What's the update there when it comes to all of the stuff that was planned around Joe Davis?
Yeah. I don't know how conventional this is, but I'm going to pick up the computer.
There you go. Do it, man.
Turn it around.
There you go.
And so we're live here, right outside Wicks Family Field. You can see heavy equipment, a lot of lumber. All that stuff is about to go vertical, and that's called Stadium Commons. And just imagine if you were in, sorry to do that, but I thought that might be a fun look.
Oh, absolutely. No,
imagine if you're at Truist Park and you're at the Omni and you have a hotel room and you open your shades and there's the Braves playing, right? And you can walk to 2 or 3 different restaurants, or there probably 7 or 8 different restaurants. Same environment here. Our entire east side of our stadium will be 2 Hilton branded hotels that will create basically the eastern wall to the stadium. It's going to make it louder, but it's also going to be, what a great way if you're here and you rent a room that night and you stay there and you're watching a soccer game while you're sitting there doing your emails.
Yeah, Blackpool's not a fan of that. There's an article that came out in The Guardian where they've got a hotel that is attached to it, but you have to draw your shades and you can't see the match from your hotel room if you're at Blackpool, which I thought was kind of just not cool. But I mean, I was like, literally, you're buying the hotel room and you want to see Blackpool play, but it's like, nope, you can't do it. You got to draw your shades and you're going to have to buy a ticket. And I'm like, come on, man.
I won't judge anyone else's policies, but I will say we're going to work with our hotel partners and allow an open shade policy.
When you come up with folks, you have these ideas about things that are surrounding the stadium or that you want to be a part of the fabric of the idea. And we'll just use the Hilton hotels as the idea here. What are those conversations like? Are they instantly? Do they get it instantly that you want them to be this, tent pole that's there for the experience there at Huntsville City, or do they kind of sit there and go, "Well, why would we want to do that?" What are those initial conversations like?
Yeah, I think the trend is in the States. In fact, you see it in Huntsville, where the Trash Pandas play at Toyota Field. There's hotels, mixed-use environment there. There's lofts you can live in. Over at our new amphitheater in Mid-City, the Orion Amphitheater, similar type setup. It's very hard to find the old model of building a stadium by itself surrounded by parking.
Yeah.
Now it's more in a walkable district. And so imagine you go like Geodis, if you're seeing where our parent club, Nashville Soccer plays, there's literally lofts right outside. There's restaurants and offices right outside. And so I think people are starting to understand that a stadium or an amphitheater or a baseball field, they can serve as an anchor that draws in people that then supports the offices, the retail. And that, so I think that's what people get now. They're like, oh, this is why they're doing it. So we're providing a destination from all over Madison County, North Alabama, people coming to our games that might not otherwise drive down the Memorial Parkway.
Again, you've seen it in lower division soccer where you have owners that believe in that live, work, play idea, and they don't just want to have a stadium and just go, and have the stadium there. It's you're developing all these different things, and you're seeing it more in those mid-sized markets in the lower division soccer element too. And I was just wondering if when you have these conversations, if people get it off the top when you're saying, yeah, well, we want to do this, this, and this. Did they sit there? Did they get it now? Or did they not get it in the past? That was basically where I was coming from.
A real good example, I'm looking over here. There's Hattie B's Hot Chicken.
Oh,
the first Hattie B's Hot Chicken in Alabama is really right next door to us. And so that line is out the door, I think, 24/7 or whenever it's open, right? It's just a line. And so every one of those people are coming to Hattie B's. They might not normally see the big Wicks Family Field sign. They may not see, oh, there's a game going on or things like that. They'll see the lights, but that's a draw. And so first thing we did is for our last match in 2025, Hattie B's was just about to open. Guess what we served out of our concession stand?
There you go.
Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Gave a percentage to a really good local charity. They got their name out pre-opening, and we had people eating Hattie B's Hot Chicken only in Wicks Family Field in October of 2025.
That's strong. Managing Director of Huntsville City Football Club, Chad Emerson, coming in here's reviewing 25 and getting ready for 26. The relationship that Huntsville City has with Nashville, and parent club associations, all that kind of stuff. How would you express and explain the three-dimensional aspect of it, where it's not just players and taking the Nashville shuttle going back and forth? How would you explain the three-dimensional relationship that you have with Nashville?
Yeah, it's really like being part of a family that lives 90 minutes apart, right? You have resources up there. I know you talked to Kirsten, for example, who's our marketing person. She'll work with their marketing person and share ideas. We're in a similar enough region that there are weather similarities, for example, or there's other, things that work, common brands. Hattie B's is in Nashville as well, a good example. And so for us, while we love the local decision-making that we have here, unique to Huntsville, we also can lean into our colleagues in Nashville and say, oh, guess what? We tried this, halftime activation, and it really seemed to click. We're like, oh, that's great. Let's try it. And vice versa. We can do the same.
What was the hardest thing that you had to tackle bringing the club online that you have pushed through and turned that initial concern into a success here as the club has grown? Was there one thing or a couple of things that were instant like concerns? They weren't red flags, but they might have been yellow flags. It's like, okay, well, we've got to tackle this, and this to be a success. What were those that you've come out the other side and learned from?
So a lot of people in Huntsville had positive memories. A lot of adults, I'm 53 right now, going as a kid to see the Huntsville Stars play here at Joe Davis Stadium.
Yep.
But over time, the stadium became an eyesore along one of the busiest roads in town, Memorial Parkway right out there. And so people started looking at it as, well, I have some nostalgia there, but that thing is just ugly, right? And so when we say, guess what, we're going to put in a brand new soccer facility, you can say the city's spending $30 million, but they're still like, how are you going to put lipstick on that pig? And so almost inevitably, when we bring someone in, the first thing they say is, wow, it really looks nice in here. The seats look nice. The turf looks nice. Everything's well organized. And so reintroducing our community to Joe Davis Stadium, not the one they remember as a youth with positive, but the one that sat vacant for about a decade or so along our, basically our interstate. That was hard, but when we get them in the gate, as you've seen, it's a beautiful facility. The stadium architect and the contractor, everyone, made it easy to resell it because they put in so many features like our beer garden that are just like, they're so much fun to just sit there, even if you're not paying attention to the game.
Yeah. What has the relationship been like with the Huntsville City and MLS Next Pro? Because of MLS Next Pro, they understand the affiliate relationships and ties to clubs and things like that, but they want to have independent ownership. They want to be in the quote unquote atypical soccer markets and things like that. What has the experience been like for you guys in MLS Next Pro?
Yeah, they're great partners. I mean, a good example is as we're putting together the schedule. There's a handful of the teams in Next Pro right now who are really actively and aggressively trying to sell tickets. Right? Some aren't. Some actually have closed matches that you have to be invited to. And so, as we talk to them, what priority dates can we get? What dates work well? So do we have a really big youth soccer tournament like we do on our opening weekend on March 21st, the Horizon Cup? And so we go to them and we say, hey, if possible, when the machine puts out the dates, could we try to prioritize? These are 4 or 5 dates that we have a big youth soccer tournament. And they're always receptive because they know that if we're trying to sell tickets, if they can do something, put us on the 21st instead of the 28th, because we have a big youth tournament, a lot of group sales, that's good for the league because it generates revenue for the club.
What, when you look at 26 and 27, I guess this is the crystal ball question for you. When you look at the next couple of years, what else are you and Huntsville City as an organization looking to try and accomplish on the field, off the field? Crystal ball, you sit there and it's like, oh, you found the penny on the asphalt. You sit there and you take the penny, you flip it into the fountain. What are those next couple of things that you want to try and accomplish as a club to continue to be successful on the field and off as you continue to grow here in Next Pro?
We're going to have to, with the schedule flip, just like with MLS, we're going to have to really understand dates that may work in June or July, or times for matches that may work in June and July may not work during the colder months. Maybe you need to play more daytime games because it gets a little bit colder at night. So really studying that. Now, fortunately, you see a lot of other leagues around the world, including in England, where you can see what the weather's like and what appeals. That's why you see probably more day games in the winter in the League One or League Two of the English Football League. So we're looking at the schedule flip. And then I think the other thing is really looking at, what are the trends people are spending their money for? So at the stadium, since we control it, we don't just have soccer. We just announced a college football game in August, right? And so how can we bring new crowds in? Because again, when all those great fans from North Alabama and from Samford University in Birmingham, when they fill these stands, they're going to be watching a college football game, but they're going to notice all of the soccer aspects and think, maybe I could come back and watch one of those games. High school football is the same way.
Yes, it is. I can definitely let you know about high school football and what it means to here in the Southeast. Who would you say is the biggest rival for Huntsville City, or is there a set of rivals in MLS Next Pro?
Yeah, I think we've had a nice early rivalry with Carolina Core and Chattanooga. Carolina's a little bit further away, so it's a little bit harder for the fans to travel, but it's been we played them on a decision day, and if they were on the field, we were on the field, all the fans were on the field, because whatever happened in the game with Atlanta United affected whether Carolina got in or we hosted the game. So it was like almost a collegial, so it's a friendly rivalry there. And then obviously Chattanooga, that's great for us and hopefully them, because we share a river between our cities, right? And literally you could get on a boat and get to Chattanooga or vice versa here. And so with our playoff match, we were able to bring over quite a few fans. And like that created an environment that I was talking to our Chattanooga colleagues, and they're like, that's awesome. And just like we love when Chattanooga brings over their supporters and their drums, because it just gives you that cinematic value.
All right. When's the home opener for you?
It will be on Saturday, March 21st at 7 p.m. against Chattanooga.
Oh, aha. So did you get to did you get to kick the copy machine and sit there and say, "Hey, yeah, spit this date out with this club"? Did you sit there and get to do that?
We didn't get to pick the club. We really pled for the date because we felt like that it's a huge tournament that's going to be in town. And what we found out on Saturday nights at youth soccer tournaments, went through thousands of those with my kids, boys over the years. What are you doing on Saturday night? Usually you get done playing around 5 or 6, and what are you going to do? Maybe go to the movies, maybe sit in the hotel lobby. And we said, no, you're going to come over to Wicks Family Field because we're just down the road.
As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to get the updates about things that aren't just on the field, about growing markets and how things are continuing to go up there in Huntsville. You know that you're not a stranger. You can come and knock on our door at any time. Obviously, the season will be here before we know it. But thank you for the tour, by the way. That was very, very cool that you could.
Yeah, you don't get that a lot in live. And by the way, this is coming your way. I see your scarves in the background. So the Rocket City, you have to have a To the Moon scarf. So we'll get your address, and you can hopefully put that prominently right in the back of the collection.
Absolutely. Well, just to warn you, and that's a summer scarf, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I put too many winter scarves on the curtain rod behind me here on the back doors. The boss had to reinforce the curtain rod because there were too many winter scarves there. And after about 13 years, the train track with all the hats finally sagged, and we had to have that reinforced. So you got L brackets that are here too. So, and by the way, Pier 1 Imports, the triple layer shower rack for the curtains. This is what makes all of these here on this door and on that door. The triple layer shower rack for all of the curtains.
That's the ultimate pro tip from John Nelson right there. So, I want to send this one to you because you know what's happening in probably just a few weeks.
What?
The Artemis 2 mission is launching. That a lot of the components were designed here in Huntsville. Humans are going back to the moon as far away from Earth as we've ever been in the next couple of months. So we need to give you a To the Moon scarf.
Absolutely. Because I thought you were going to mention something about the honeymooners, and I was going to sit there and have to reference that for all the kids and tell them what's going on with that. Chad, as always, my friend, great to see you. Don't be a stranger. Season will be here before we know it. We'll be knocking on your door again.
All right, let's go, boys in blue.
There he goes, Chad Emerson, Managing Director, Grand Exalted Poobah of Huntsville City Football Club. And that is his title. It is Grand Exalted Poobah. So it's always good to catch up with Chad and find out because, last time we were up there, you could see the ground being broken on the hotels, and to see that continue to grow and get that live shot from Chad during the interview was very, very cool. So one of the really cool stories in MLS Next Pro, and it's always great to see in the southeastern United States how things continue to grow. And look, the rest of the soccer world should not be shocked. Look, the South's got something to say, Southeast got something to say, and it's here in Atlanta where we're based. It's in Huntsville, it's in Greenville, it's in Chattanooga, it's in Nashville, it is in Asheville, it's in Hickory in the NPSL, all of these places. It's in Tormenta and Statesboro. All of these places. Do not be surprised when you sit there now and it's like, oh, they're in the Southeast. They're south of the Mason-Dixon line. How could they? No, they know. It is how it is continuing to grow here in the sport here in the southeastern United States. Do not let anyone be surprised about the growth of the sport here in this particular part of the country. All right. It is 24 after the hour. So we've got 40 minutes plus to get through Champions League, to get through the news of the morning, to get through everything else that's going on. We'll have your juice boxes, your storylines, all the things. We'll get through Champions League. We're going to start there. Yes, we're going to have to talk about John Textor. I mentioned pennies. They're on the asphalt. John Textor is a bad penny. We got to get into his new exploits. We'll call it that. They are exploits. And now he's catching it from 2 countries, not just one, actually 3 if you include the lawsuit with Iconic. So 3 separate countries. But we're not talking about England this time around. We're talking about Brazil. And we're going to be talking about France. France, as we go with John Textor. So that is what the layout is here for the next little bit. Okay. Dell mentioning Marseille and Bruges, Monaco and Juve. David, avoiding the Toronto Sky Dome incident. Yes, absolutely true. So it's been good. And morning, Abby. It's been good for us as a part of the growth here in the Southeast, to be able to share stories like Huntsville, to be able to share stories like Statesboro and all the markets that I was just talking about a second ago, because of the growth of the sport. Like I said, do not let anybody sit there and go, gee, I didn't know that was there in the South or the Southeast. No, it's here. Just point them in the right direction and sit there and say, this is how it is. This is how it is. It's not like new and they're looking at Sport for Dummies and 101 or whatever. No, you have a lot of really talented people that understand the sport for what it is and what it can be so it can continue to grow. Sidebar. If you don't follow sports in the Dallas market, there is an article currently posted by Dallas Magazine, and it's readily available. They unlocked it. So if you go on the 280 character app and go to, I think it's D Magazine, Dallas Magazine, it is an article about how the Dallas market got the Dallas Mavericks, and they're coming up on, I think, the 45th anniversary of the team. And it is a story about Norm Sanju, who was their longtime front office guru, helped bring the club to Dallas, found out, who he could pair up with as an owner. He always thought that Dallas would be a great market for the NBA. And it is a fantastic article. I think it was written back in when was it written? I want to say like in 2000 or something. And it's a great piece about what faith in yourself and faith in an idea can bring to the table. Sanju was a guy who played basketball, but then he was injured in a car wreck, and he ended up going into the business world, very, very successful in Chicago. And through a couple of different conversations, I'll try and give you the short version here. He ended up being paired with John Y. Brown. And John Y. Brown was the owner of the Louisville Colonels in the ABA in the 1970s. And he was part of the discussions of that merger with the ABA and the NBA. And since he owned the Colonels, he had an option to either merge in or take the buyout. He took the buyout. And I wish the Louisville Colonels would have made it into the NBA. You'd had Dan Issel, and it would have been a great product. But John Y. Brown took the buyout from the NBA, and he in turn invested in the Buffalo Braves and was trying to figure out a way to have the Braves either be a success or be a success enough to where they could go into a different market. He was connected with Sanju. Sanju was there to try and drum up sales for the Buffalo Braves in the late 1970s and figure out, okay, can Buffalo sustain an NBA team? And through one injury or another, Tiny Archibald, what have you, they didn't hit the numbers that were in the stadium deal for the odd, so they could go and try and find a new market. And then you had a swap of a sale where John Y. Brown trades his interest in the Braves, and he ends up owning the Celtics instead. And so the guy who owned the Braves ends up, and I'm probably commingling some things here, but Sanju wanted to convince John Y. Brown to take the Braves and move them to Dallas. And they go into a bunch of different meetings and with the league board of governors and other owners, and the owners were like, Dallas is a no sale. So you end up with that swap. The guy who owned the Celtics would own the Braves. He would move him to San Diego. And then you would have people in Buffalo mad. And Sanju wanted to try and bring the NBA to Dallas. Couldn't do it with John Y. Brown and the Buffalo Braves. So he ends up pairing through conversations, and he finds out about a man by the name of Donald Carter. And Donald Carter was a part of running his family business. It was his mom's and his mom's business, and he was like the number two in running the family business, incredibly successful, and believed in family and believed in the value of sport and all those kinds of things. And so through various conversations, Sanju gets paired up with Donald Carter. And if you remember the original logo of the Dallas Mavericks, it was the puffy M with the 10-gallon hat. That was Donald Carter's hat. And so Sanju, for a 3-year period, busted his you-know-what to try to bring the NBA to Dallas. Conversations with the mayor, hooking up with Donald Carter. And Donald Carter, they get everything squared away, and then at the 11th hour, that it almost doesn't happen, then it finally does, and they're going back and forth. And so Donald Carter was paired up with Sanju, and they realized what it could be. Those kind of individuals, and the reason I bring up that story, other than to go read that story at Dallas Magazine, those kind of guys like Norm Sanju are in a lot of these different markets that we're seeing here in the sport of soccer. You see guys like Darren Van Tassel in Statesboro. You see the group in Huntsville, like guys like Chad Emerson. With what you're seeing with Appalachian FC in Boone, North Carolina, after the demise of App State. What you're seeing in Greenville with the Irwin family in USL League One. What you're seeing with both franchises in Chattanooga. What you're seeing in Birmingham and all these different places that you sit there and you go, well, I didn't know that soccer would succeed there. It is because you have people who understand what it takes to succeed in those markets. And one of my favorite, like I said, one of my favorite quotes from The Art of War from Sun Tzu: trust the local guides, for they know the terrain. And that applies into more than just what Sun Tzu was writing about. So you got a guy like Norm Sanju who pairs with Donald Carter. Sanju thought Dallas would work. Donald Carter was in Dallas. Mayor had a facility idea, turned into Reunion Arena. All of these folks and all of these places that you're in understand the value of what the sport means. And I'll bring it back to soccer, and then we can go into Champions League. But Dell, being in Charleston, knows what the Charleston folks know about where to be and what to do. Rich, I'm sure, Rich in Philly would love to have folks who would invest. So each and every market that you think of that has a franchise in this sport, they're local to some aspect. They believe in the sport enough to want to try and build something with it. And to see all of these success stories in all of these markets here in the southeastern United States is not a surprise because of the local guides that are there. And now you know the rest of the story. There you go. Okay. Now, you have Champions League. Champions League, we got everything going on all at once. We'll go through the juice boxes, because remember, Europa League is tomorrow. So Champions League juice boxes today. And there's a lot. Now, obviously, everything going on at once. Like I said, just go to Golasso and watch it, because it's going to be too much chaos to try and follow along all at once. If you're going to go, unless you have 18 monitors and you can balance all of that off, just go to Golasso. Okay, so here we go. Juice boxes, everything at 3 o'clock. We'll go through juice boxes first. Then we'll go through all the scenarios and the point system and everything and where everybody stands. All right. Gassed up. Here we go. Ajax, an underdog at home at a plus 200 to Olympiacos, who's a plus 125. Arsenal, they're probably going to run the table. They'll be the number 1 seed. They will get the 2 weeks off. They are hosting Kairat Almaty, who got the points last time out. Arsenal's minus 2,500. Kairat Almaty is a plus 44.83. Athletic Bilbao, a plus 171, a slight underdog at home to Sporting, who's a plus 159. Atletico de Madrid, minus 345, hosting Bodo Glimt, who's a plus 741. Outside chance for them to get into the top 24. Barcelona, minus 769 at home, hosting Copenhagen, who's a plus 1632 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. They have taken 6 separate juice box purveyors, combined them, and these is where the numbers are right now as we're talking. Bayer Leverkusen, minus 143 at home, hosting Villarreal, who's a plus 351. Benfica, at home, a plus 286. And don't think for a second that Jose Mourinho wouldn't want to put a gum in the works when Real Madrid comes to town at a minus 119. Club Brugge, a plus 154, slight favorite over Marseille at a plus 158. Dortmund, a plus 200, hosting Inter at a plus 131. Eintracht Frankfurt, a plus 341, hosting Spurs at a minus 133. Liverpool, a minus 1,000, hosting Karabag, who's a plus 1872. Draws a plus 992, by the way. Manchester City, hosting Galatasaray. Palace intrigue attached at Galatasaray. Minus 417 for Manchester City. Galatasaray, a plus 902. Monaco, hosting Juve at a plus 345. Juve, a minus 128. Napoli, a plus 248, hosting Chelsea at a plus 108. Paphos, hosting Slavia Prague. Paphos at the Alpha Mega Stadium. They're not playing at home because it's not big enough. Paphos, a plus 195, hosting Slavia Prague at a plus 133. PSG, minus 161, hosting Newcastle at a plus 372. PSV, Ricardo Pepi update coming in a bit. Plus 419, hosting Bayern Munich, who's a minus 185. Royal Union is a plus 234, hosting Atalanta, who is a plus 108. That match is played at Lotto Park because Royal Union's barn is not big enough. Now, standings. Arsenal, once again, they're the only one that has run the table. Literally, all they need is 1 point against Kairat Almaty. I would anticipate probably a decent starting 11, but a quick trigger from Mikel Arteta. If it's in hand, second half, you might get subs. You might get subs at 60. Really, all you need is a point. You've given up 2 goals. You've won all 7. Your plus minus, your goal difference is a plus 18. You're at 21 points. Then the fun starts. Bayern Munich, 18 points. Real Madrid at 15. They're ahead of Liverpool at 15. Why do I say that's fun? Bayern Munich, once again, their goal difference to Real Madrid is only that 1 win that could happen today. Bayern Munich taking on PSV at PSV. If they stumble and Real Madrid takes care of business against Benfica, then you might have to go to the goals scored category if there's a stumble at the 2 and the 3. Liverpool right now, they would have to wipe the floor with Karabag at Anfield because they are 5 behind in goals to Real Madrid. You thought the EFL Championship was crazy? This is worse. And I mean that in the best way possible. 5th place right now, Spurs at 14 points. They've won 3 of 4. They're at 14. They're the only team at 14 points. Now you have going in after that, and I've got to do math here, 8 teams at 13 points. This is what they were looking at, what UEFA was staring at when they came up with this idea. Remember, 8 get time off. 9 through 24 don't. 3 teams right now are at 13 points and are in to get the time off. PSG, Newcastle, Chelsea. We'll start there. PSG and Newcastle have the same number of points and the same goal difference. So PSG has scored 4 more goals. Keep an eye on that. Then Chelsea is at plus 6 in goal difference. After that, you have 6 teams separated by 5 goals in goal difference for the 8th spot. That last spot that gets the 2 weeks off, Chelsea is at plus 6. Barcelona's at +5. They've scored 4 more goals than Sporting has. Manchester City is at +4. Atletico de Madrid is at +3. Atalanta is at +1. And that gets you to 13th. 6 through 13, same number of points. And you've got 6 teams separated by 5 points in goal difference with the same number of points. Chelsea in at +6. Barca, Sporting at +5. Barca has scored 18 goals, which is 4 more right now than Chelsea and 4 more right now than Sporting. Manchester City has scored 13 goals. This is where we are right now. You are going to have to look at goals scored in addition to goal difference. That's where we are. Manchester City, 13 goals scored +4. Atletico de Madrid, 16 goals scored +3. Atalanta, 10 goals scored, which puts them in the worst possible position of all of these if everything stayed the same. Atalanta is at 13th. They're at +1. Then you get to 12 points. 2 teams are there. Inter has backed into this, having lost 3 in a row in the competition. They're at +6. Juve has scored 1 more goal, but they're at +4 in goal difference. Both of those at 12 points. That gets you to 16th. Dortmund is at 11 points. Galatasaray and Karabag, who really look like they are in right now at 10 points. Galatasaray and Karabag at 10 points. Marseille, Leverkusen, Monaco, 19, 20, and 21. -4, -6. And Marseille is at 0. So Marseille has the advantage right now over those other 2, Leverkusen and Monaco. That gets you to 22. PSV has backed into this position. They're at +8. They're at 8 points and +1. Bilbao is one of the 5 teams at 8 points. Bilbao is at -4 in goal difference. Then you get into Olympiacos, who is the 24 right now, the last spot in. Joe Lenardi ain't got nothing on this. Olympiacos is at 24th, -5 in goal difference. They've won 2 in a row to get to this point, to be at 8 points. -5 in goal difference, and they've 1 more goals scored than Napoli, who is first team out in 25th. Copenhagen right now -6 in goal difference. They need probably a win and some help. 7 points for Bruges in 27th. Bodo Glimt, 4 points in their last 2 matches. They're 28th at 6 points. Benfica is at 6 points. 2-game win streak snapped with a loss last time out. Paphos, worse goal difference than Benfica and Bodo Glimt. Royal Union, even worse. They need like a win and a lot of help. That a -10. Ajax, by the way, has won 2 in a row to get to this point at 32nd. And then everybody else is eliminated. Eintracht Frankfurt, Slavia Prague, Villarreal, and Kairat Almaty. 33 through 36, they're gone. 4 teams out of 36. Everybody else with a mathematical chance to do something in that grid. Just go to Golasso. That's all I'm saying. 3 o'clock to 5:30, go to Golasso. So that's where you are with Champions League. And every match practically matters. Eintracht Frankfurt and Spurs matters to Spurs. Paphos and Slavia Prague matters to Paphos. Mathematically, it does. Villarreal and Leverkusen means more to Leverkusen. Kairat Almaty and Arsenal. Kairat Almaty could bring Arsenal back to the pack if they were to somehow sneak out a result and get full points at the Emirates this afternoon. So that is Champions League. Literally, 32 of the 36 teams still have a mathematical chance to either get in or improve their position coming into the last day. Like I said, I'm not touching Europa League till tomorrow, then we can sort this whole thing out. So that's what we're staring at with Champions League. Now, news and notes, transfers, who might be doing something, who might be going someplace, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. By the way, programming note, Jordan Gardner and Hearts Football LLC, who are picking up 80% of Kelty Hearts in Scottish League One. He's going to join us Tuesday morning at 10. We're going to talk about MCOs, American investment in European football, what attracted him to Kelty Hearts, bottom of League One, 4 points behind Cove Rangers. And so 80% picked up by Hearts Football LLC. Jordan Gardner is going to join us on Tuesday to discuss the acquisition and what it means in the grand scheme of things for picking up football teams and creating multi-club organizational models. We have another example here with Jordan Gardner and Kelty Hearts. He's going to join us on Tuesday. Okay, so let's get into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo part, all of your transfers, all the things. So now it appears West Ham have agreed to a £35.5 million sale of Lucas Paquetá to Flamengo. That's about a half hour ago. Yuri Tielemans is out until April, so that's going to hurt Aston Villa as well. West Ham have signed Adama Traore from Fulham. Victor has been ruled out for the rest of the season at Nottingham Forest. James Ward-Prowse in West Ham. James Ward-Prowse has not been playing under Nuno. James Ward-Prowse heading out the door. So we'll keep an eye out on those elements that are attached. Now, all of your gossip and all your talk. Once again, Brighton has rejected an approach for Lewis Dunk. He ain't for sale. Nottingham Forest is interested. Chelsea are saying that Cole Palmer is untouchable amid links to Manchester United. Contracted until 2033. Raheem Sterling, on the other hand, expected to leave before the winter transfer window closes. According to Fabrizio Romano, both parties in talks about securing an exit for him and Chelsea. West Ham looking at loan deals for Spurs keeper Antonin Kinski, Chelsea defender Axel Disasi, and the Hammers are going to have to send Igor Julio back to Brighton if they're going to make both deals go down. Andre Onana, who is on loan at Trabzonspor, have held talks about returning to Inter Milan in the summer. That's the four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Wolves in talks to sign Angel Gomes from Marseille. Auxerre striker Lassine Sinayoko, another target for Wolves. Coventry City, Middlesbrough also interested. Burnley are in talks over James Ward-Prowse on a loan. Burnley needs all the help they can get. James Ward-Prowse ain't playing for Nuno at West Ham. Of course, it would probably also help if he had some set pieces to do. Did I say that out loud? I guess I did. Sunderland, playing down reports, 20-year-old Spanish forward Eliezer Mayenda could be allowed to move to Paris FC. That is from the iPaper. Derby County, keen on a deal for Ipswich's forward Sammy Smodics. Struggled for game time as Ipswich is chasing after one of the promotion spots in EFL Championship. Then also Celtic are set to rival Norwich City in the move for Bodo Glimt forward Casper Hogue. Remember, he had the double against Manchester City in the win north of the Arctic Circle. And that could also happen after the Bodo Glimt Atletico de Madrid match that is today. It's from Anthony Joseph at Sky. Sheffield Wednesday are looking on a loan deal for a 17-year-old defender from City. Sheffield United are chasing after Joe Rothwell at Rangers. So are some other clubs. Watford are chasing after defender, and Gillingham are looking to drop £250,000 on signing a striker. So that's the early reports on the gossip, rumor, and the innuendo side of things. So, he said, what is going on that we do know about this morning? We mentioned the Lucas Paquetá move, and for this we go to our buddy Ben Jacobs, and I'm thinking that we're going to catch up with Ben after the window is over. I think that's going to be mandatory for us. So here's what's going on. Fulham have reached an agreement with Manchester City to sign Oscar Bob. Pep Guardiola was kind of intimating that Oscar Bob might be moving. He's moving. £27 million fee, and that was what it was called. And so Lyle Thomas puts that on the board. Manchester City get a 20% sell on and matching rights. So Oscar Bob on the move to Fulham. Good pickup for Fulham. Also, the move, once again, €42 million for Paquetá moving to Flamengo. It's now all agreed. Paquetá agreed to travel to formalize the move the next 24 to 48 hours. Raisa Simplicio from Gol Brasil was the one that got the first across the line on that one. Interesting note. FIFA's global transfer report from 2025 a record 86,158 international transfers in 1 year. $13.08 billion spent on transfer fees in men's professional football. Women's football, 2,440 transfers, up 6%. Total spend of just over $28.5 million, an increase of more than 80% compared to 2024. Clubs from England, obviously the number one spender, $3.82 billion. Number one recipient of transfer fees at $1.77 billion. Liverpool's transfer record deal for Alexander Isak, obviously the most expensive signing back in 2025, £172 million, 125 pounds. Louis Kumas from Liverpool due for a medical at Hull City today ahead of a loan move. Paris, once again, they've now agreed to on a deal for Diego Coppola from Brighton, Alex Crook from TalkSport. And literally, the Oscar Bob transaction went from advanced talks just before 7 o'clock this morning, our time, to being done. 4 hours, done. And so West Ham given permission for James Ward-Prowse to talk to Burnley. Traore joins Fulham, fee around £2 million. Traore's reunited with Nuno Espirito Santo. How do we know this? Because the picture is out with Adama Traore in the warm-up gear, staring into the camera, holding the pen over the contract, and he's hovering over the contract. He's not signing it. He's smiling, and he's hovering over it. So, therefore, it must be true. Bournemouth then talks with Inter Milan over a move for winger Luis Enrique, Henrique. Cherry's offering a loan with a buy option of around £18 million. Nottingham Forest are in talks with Wolves over Jose Sa, which is interesting. Before figuring out whether they can sell, Wolves are going to look at the financials and whether they can find a replacement. And if that name is prepared to drop into the championship, should the club go down, the next 10 matches will probably tell you that answer. Birmingham City confirming Carlos Vicente from Deportivo Alaves, 26-year-old winger, 3.5-year deal. And the picture is there as well. Pen hovering over contract, smiling directly into the camera. And so you have, let's see, Igor Julio being recalled from West Ham by Brighton, which means Diego Coppola goes out on loan. And that was pinned down West Ham holding interest in Chelsea's Axel Disasi. So that's what you're looking at with those moves. Now, domestically, we always check with our buddy Tom Bogert to start things off. We mentioned the deal yesterday involving Alex Freeman, $4 million, good pickup for Orlando. Orlando obviously fairly confident in what they have in-house. I want to see how they spend that $4 million. We need to catch up with our buddy Mike Gramajo and let you know what's going on there. All right, so Dell, being an intrepid producer, Premier League stars who could still move this window. Remember, you've only got like 4 days left in the window. So keep an eye on that. No, I don't want to watch. That's stupid. Didn't want that as a login. Like literally, I'm hitting things and I'm trying to watch things and look at articles. And it's telling me that, you're going to go watch your cable TV. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to watch my cable. All right, domestically. Portland finalizing a deal to sign Cole Bassett from Colorado, and it is an intra-league deal. $2.65 million in cash and add-ons, taking the potential fee to $3.7. Colorado gets a sell-on. Pepe to Fulham, currently at an impasse. January window closes Monday, people. So it is a small gap between the two, but Fulham are currently, this is how Tom Bogert phrases it, currently incapable to make a final effort to reach the PSV asking price. What do we say, 38 million? Yeah, 38 million, 32 million pounds. So January window closes Monday. Get it done, people. I'm tired of the back and forth. Sam Goldberg now named the Red Bulls' new director of soccer at the age of 28. Joined them 5 years ago. Previously head of player personnel, responsible for transfer strategy, salary cap, scouting, and data. Atlético Nacional, this happened yesterday after the show. Atlético Nacional has agreed to a deal to sign Chicho Arango from San Jose. Chicho Arango wanted to leave for personal reasons, in quotation marks, despite signing a new deal. It's his sixth new club in 5 years. Pipe Sierra and Juan David Lodonio are the two that had the first news on that. Ajax, and this is also interesting. Ajax finalizing a deal to sign Martin Paz from FC Dallas. Fabrizio Romano had this one first. 10 caps for Indonesia, debuting in 24. Martin Paz could return to the Netherlands after being signed from Utrecht. Martin Paz saved FC Dallas from a lot of ish. What does FC Dallas do in net? Jason Russell-Rowe, keep an eye on Toulouse. NYCFC, adding a DP. We mentioned Joao Klaus being finally final. We are efforting an appearance time from our friends from St. Louis City to find out what this means in the grand scheme of things with everything in great. Now I get to do this. I'm trying to look into my own email. My own 280-character account. Now it wants me to set up a passcode. What if I don't want to? Oh, oops. Maybe that would be why. So there you go. All right. So in the chat, we're trying to catch up with our friends from Ball Watching, and we'll catch up with them hopefully either tomorrow or Friday morning, find out what this means. So there we go with all of that. Now, looking at, I'm trying to see if there's anything else on the board that we might have missed. Let me go to, let's see. I'm going to go, I know we have to have our bad penny update, so we'll get into that in a second, and also what you guys have been saying about everything going on. So let's go there. I don't want that. Now, Paquetá 36.7 from another source. Chelsea's are urging fans to take extreme caution in Naples after 2 were taken to the hospital. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jeremy Jacquet to either Liverpool or Chelsea. Alexia Putellas possibly to London City, and that would improve their stock a lot with the rumor mill that is attached here once again for Monday. And I'm trying to see if there's any other names. Real Madrid want to bring back Victor Munoz from Osasuna. We mentioned Alexia Putellas. Could London City come up with the funds to bring that together? That's the larger element in all of this. The funds from London City. Could they do it? Let's see. We mentioned Traore. And let's see. Those are the only 3 from today. We mentioned Christos Mandas. We're caught up. Okay, so we're caught up on transfers in the English marketplace. So stories, I think we're good on stories, and anything else to keep an eye on. I'll catch up with what's going on in the Twitch pitch here in a second. And apparently there was a screwdriver attack by Napoli Ultras. So that's why Chelsea's saying, fans, please be careful. So that's what you're looking at with them. Top Svidovana Prabha says selling the club is not an option. He says he wants to continue his father's work going forward. And let's see. I think we're good story-wise. Okay. I think we're good. Let me check what is going on. The Whitecaps, according to Rich, the Whitecaps played a friendly against the heavyweight boxing champion of the world, Alexander Usyk. So Alexander Usyk faced off, let's see, high-profile appearance as a substitute for FC Policia Zhytomyr against the Vancouver Whitecaps and Thomas Mueller. Usyk entered the friendly in Marbella with 15 minutes to go, replacing Mikola Hajdučić. So Usyk looks like he got up a good lather. Thomas Mueller did not. And so Usyk goes in and gets the play, gained the bragging rights as the Ukrainian side won 2-0. And you got a pause in the tunnel beforehand. You did not get a direct confrontation. Mueller had exited the game before Usyk's introduction. Usyk has done this before, apparently, trained as a footballer as a teenager, also appeared for Policia in a friendly in 2022, previously signed an agreement on football cooperation with the club. Usyk's 39. And so he goes out there and he's going to get up a good lather taking on the Vancouver Whitecaps. Now, let's see, Dell with the rumor mill. with Monday being the deadline, and keep an eye on things around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So Harvey Elliott, he's been on the list. Matisse Tell, he's been on the list. Mateta, the number is $35 million right now. Palace have asked for 40 from Forest. We'll see if they come up with 38 and some other numbers. Jurgen Strand-Larsen from Wolves. True, he's out there. Joao Gomes, we mentioned him from Wolves. And Calvin Phillips at Manchester City, he's getting no minutes. 30-year-old still on the books at Man City. 7 minutes of football this year in the Gummy Bear Cup win over Huddersfield. Chiesa from Liverpool, and those are the names right now on the list for possible keeping an eye on for transfers. Okay, bad penny update. Pepe, Del thinks that Pepe needs to stay at PSV. He's got the broken forearm, needs to stay and go straight back in before the World Cup. All right, bad penny update. So here's the deal. Now, let's see. Stop rolling new stuff in here, people. I'm trying to go here. No. All right, so Nick Sesek. Here's an interesting one. Nick Sesek is now separate. This is separate from bad penny update. This came across. Nick Sesek to Vegas Lights. So Nick Sesek to Vegas Lights. That's an interesting one. Hang on to that one too. Houston Dash of lone keeper Liz Beardsley to Tampa Bay Sun of the U.S. Super League. Keep an eye on that one. All right, now, bad penny update with our buddy John Texter. We'll start off in England. Now, yes, X out. According to our friends at Sport Witness, I don't want this advertisement. Scroll on with content. Okay. According to Globo, agents of former Nottingham Forest midfielder Danilo have taken action against Botafogo. I know we're all shocked. They want payment of a commission linked directly to negotiations involving Evangelinos Marinakis and John Texter. The claim totals roughly 1.1 million euro, 930,000 pounds. Once again, and you have John Texter at the middle of it. Lawsuit targets Botafogo and demands immediate action. Damilo's agents asked the court to order payment within 3 days, basically the end of the month. If the club fails to comply, they'll request tougher measures. This includes online freezing of bank accounts, seizure of TV income and sponsorship revenue. They also ask for the attachment of up to 20% of Botafogo's monthly turnover until the debt is cleared. Sorry, hydration. Action comes from TS Sports Marketing. Company says it led talks with Forest, handled the formalization of Danilo's employment, image, and bonus agreements. Danilo joined Botafogo in 2025 in a deal at 22 million euro. Under the brokerage agreement, Botafogo committed to paying 1 million euro by October 1st. Payment never arrived. According to the lawsuit, more than 100 days have passed since October 1st. As a result, the agents applied contractual penalties. 7% fine, 1% monthly interest, inflation correction, and so now that gets to 1.1 million euro. Dispute has also fed speculation in Brazil about Danilo's future. With Botafogo's cash flow issues, his reps briefly explored alternatives, including an exit. The club has since paid part of its outstanding wages and obligations. And so now, after that one, you have the other one. And it goes to Texter and Lyon. And so David Ornstein with an update. Hang on just a second. So we'll go into like actual news here. So we do have, come on, David Ornstein with an update. When David Ornstein updates, we always like to go to Ornstein and find out what's going on. Because he is one of the tier one sources about everything. So Fulham, agreement with Oscar Bob, 27 million pounds, retaining matching rights on a future offer, 20% sell-on. Norway International set to undergo a medical Thursday before completing a move. Douglas Luiz completing last parts of a medical before signing with Aston Villa from Juve. 27 years old, ends Forest spell to join Villa on loan with an option to buy at 25 million euro plus add-ons. So that's your update on Oscar Bob and Douglas Luiz. Okay, so now the other part with bad penny update. Comes from SoFoot, SOFOOT.com. They're in France. Now, this is their wording from this morning, local time. Completely out of favor in Lyon, having withdrawn from all club-related activities since last June. Textor reportedly tried to get involved in the club's affairs again ahead of its General Assembly, which is being held today. According to information from Edward J. of RMC Sport, attempted yet another scheme, that's the word that they're using. To summarize the situation, Textor reportedly attempted to regain control of the club, thwarted by Michel Kang and Aries management. The former Lyon boss allegedly sought to remove decision makers from Bitco, a holding company holding Eagle Group's shares in the vast majority of its voting rights. The voting rights, cast prior to the AGM, were not in his favor. Reportedly dismissed through his lawyers, effectively neutralizing them and invalidating their votes, thus enabling him to present himself to the General Assembly and regain control of the club through a motion passed in his favor. Textor is actually being brought down by his creditor, Aries. Aries will support via a letter Michel Kang, who for her part will be able to demonstrate that the vote of the ousted Bitco directors cannot be challenged, as their dismissal by John Textor occurred after their own choice. However, apparently Aries didn't stop, since Textor's lender has also reportedly included in their letter, quote, the dismissal of John Charles Textor as director of the company with immediate effect, sidelined by his banker for his outburst. Textor may have forgotten, as always, money is the bottom line, and he's out of it. So Textor apparently tried to do a coup, as it is being titled by RMC Sport, tried to go through the General Assembly, thwarted by Michel Kang and Aries. So, Eagle Football Group's General Assembly, let's see, everything going well. Second rescue by Michel Kang. We're going to read more. So, Textor apparently goes all in, having learned of the choice made by the two independent directors, Stephen Welch and Hemen Seo, retaliated, and this is from RMC. Textor retaliated unilaterally and brutally with the help of his lawyers, announced he dismissed them, and that consequently the votes were invalid, since he was no longer barred from holding the position, able to come to Lyon in person to re-seize power by removing the current board, Michel Kang and Michael Gerlinger, and requesting a motion from the Assembly to reinstate. And then comes Aries, and then who basically provided John Textor with money. Aries, remember, has that really nasty interest rate with Textor. And then you had the money owed by his banker, Michel Kang, backed by Aries after rescuing Lyon with the help of her lawyers, reverses the situation, demonstrating that the director's dismissal occurred after their votes, until the votes are valid. So Textor's coup fizzles out last night after Aries sends a letter explicitly stating the attempt to remove the two directors was legally impossible. Another phrase heavy with meaning. Dismissal of John Charles Textor as director of the company with immediate effect. So Lyon gets to avoid. So John Textor decided that he was going to try and uproot his lawyers, or uproot the two individuals that controlled the voting interest for Lyon, saying that they were invalid. They're fired, so it's invalid. And so then Aries management and Michel Kang were like, no. And so they used their lawyers, John Textor out with immediate effect. So the attempted coup ends up being just an attempted coup. Yay. So you've got that happening this morning as well. So I'm trying to see what else is. Okay, so 2 new signings for the twos, by the way. And that happens this morning from North Texas SC and from Colorado Rapids too. It is defenders Mohamed Cisse and Matthew Sananu, each signing for the 26th season with a club option for 27. Cisse, born in Montreal, was with North Texas last year in MLS NEXT PRO, started 20 of the 21, over 1,600 minutes, had a goal. Defensively led the team in clearances with 25, 89% of his passes. 71st overall in the draft in 25 out of Penn State, and added to the roster pending receipt of the ITC and the P1 visa. Sananu was with Rapids 2 last season, 20 matches, 15 starts, 17 clearances, 89% pass completion, a native of Plainfield, Illinois, 6th in the Super Draft by Colorado in 25 out of Xavier University. Program's highest ever selection, helping Xavier win the Big East Championship. Before there, he was at North Carolina, where he made the tournament for both of the years he was there. So Matthew Sananu, defender from Rapids 2, and Mohamed Cisse, defender out of Penn State, have now been added to the stacks for Atlanta United 2 as they get closer and closer to what is going on with preseason. So 2 signings for the twos, and Todd Monken has been signed as the former offensive coordinator in Baltimore by the Cleveland Browns. So Todd Monken is now employed by the Cleveland Browns. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the board. We talked about what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We talked about what's going on with Champions League. Just basically go to Golasso. I'm sitting here and looking at my notes. I think we got it covered. I think we do. Okay, so once again, tomorrow, Power Hour with Nino and Nico is the last hour of the show. We're going to be catching up with the finalists of the UPSL National Tournament. They're down to their Final Four. It's going to be in Irvine this weekend. And I think we're catching up with New York Renegades today. That'll air tomorrow. And we're going to be catching up with folks as we go. And Greenville Triumph also is going to be caught up with on Thursday. They're going to be in the Friday show. New coach, new technical director. We're catching up with both of them. One of those interviews will be on Friday. The other will be on social media this weekend. And then we're going to get you ready for everything going on at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground with Atlanta United and Lex SC and all the things. So no, business ain't picking up for nothing. It's always great to be at this time of year because you're getting to find out what's going on with folks and getting ready for the 26th season, whether it's MLS Next Pro. Thanks to Chad Emerson, managing director up at Huntsville City Football Club, for giving us the off-the-field education up there this year as they get ready for 26. They've got a real rocket in one of their end zones. I'm not kidding. And great to catch up with all of you this morning and find out what's going on your mind. Big win for the WNT, and Gotham denied 1-0 in the Women's Champions Cup at the GTEC earlier today. So great tournament for them. Unfortunately, the 1 goal on the board went to Corinthians. And once again, reminder, keep an eye on Rose Lavelle's injury. She had to leave the field. She was walking, but she had to be assisted. And so keep an eye out for that with the Rose Lavelle injury and her status going forward with about a month away from the NWSL season, but we'll keep an eye on all that. So once again, thanks to Huntsville City for making it happen this morning. Thanks to all of you. We covered the USWNT, covered Gotham, and got you ready for your day. 3 o'clock, everything Champions League all in one place. Just go to Golasso and just sit back and enjoy. Get your popcorn ready and your sandwiches and everything and be ready to go. Back at it again tomorrow in less than 22 hours. Since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. We get to do this. Thanks to all of you for hanging out with us today. We'll do it again tomorrow at 9:05 Eastern. Mucho platiel, play it safe, and since it's the end of the show, means you get to do this. See you tomorrow morning.